evening, Alice. How are you?
Hi, Jingjin. I'm good. Just give my kid to my husband. So now is a quiet time.
Free time, yes.
Yeah. How about you? What were you doing earlier?
I had a whole day, very busy day today. Friday is wrapping up the week and investors meetings, having meeting with the virtual team and angel investors meeting and a meeting with business partners. I think our company is currently at a very challenging stage where you have business fundraising at the same time. And then you need to gain social visibility as well. So you have to do some PR work yourself as well. So it's
I'm sure you can do it. You're a superwoman.
I think we are all superwoman. We just have different ways. You know, we are all at the end of the day. I work now with so many women with what I do. Everyone is, you could be a housemaker. That's a superwoman as well because everyone has different challenges, and then we women are just generally very hard on ourselves and appreciate what others are doing. But every woman is a superwoman.
So why not? Jingjin, you can make an introduction to yourself.
Sure. Okay. Thanks a lot, Alice, for having me and Mama on Palette. What a great initiative. So for everyone who does not know me, my name is Jingjin. I am the founder and CEO of the company called ZaZaZu. We are the first sexual well-being hub in Asia that synchronizes education, consultation, curation of product that all embedded in a very intimate female community to empower us women to own our sexual well-being. I think sexual well-being is a very unspoken, taboo, stigmatized topic for women, and more importantly, for mamas, because I'm a mom myself. I'm a 3.5-year-old, and once you become a mom, everything else is irrelevant. You do not exist as a woman anymore, and I think that's really important for personal well-being, for relationship with ourselves, with our partners, and with our kids, that you maintain actually a healthy relationship, healthy sexual well-being habit, which we don't talk at all in this region.
Yeah, I fully agree with you, right? And I catch a very interesting saying from you that you said once women become mothers, our life become different. So maybe you can share a little bit about your personal experience, like what's the difference after a girl turned into a mom?
I think the biggest difference is how do you connect with your body again? How do you identify yourself with you? I mean, I think everyone, including men, it's not only women only topic, but we have so many roles in life. And we are daughters, we are daughter-in-laws, we are sisters, we are employees, we are bosses, we are so many roles. But I think biggest difference between men and women in terms of pregnancy or when you have a kid is that when mom become a mom, your identity changed. The society and also we women expect us to have to fulfill the responsibility of this role 100%. You can fail in your job. You can many other aspects. You don't have to be 100%, but as a mom, you have to be 100%. Is the societal requirement, expectation, as well as your own. And I think that's for me to still find myself being a woman. I am still a wife, and I am an entrepreneur. To find myself within those roles, I think it took me really long. I have to say I'm still not there yet. I feel when I'm a mom, I'm 100% mom, but in some of the other days, I don't think about work necessarily when I'm with a kid, but when I'm with my kids, when I'm with work, I sometimes think of my kid. I'm not here with him, and just so many, how to be aligned with all the roles we have in life. I think that's the biggest challenge so far.
I hear you, and I can totally resonate with what you're saying. And I mean, your identity, I mean, you have an additional layer, right? You are also an entrepreneur, and you can definitely, I'm definitely happy to hear more about your entrepreneurship journey later. But I think generally speaking, whether you are a working mom, whether you are entrepreneur mom, or you are a stay-at-home mom, you just have this full responsibility on you, like what you
Yeah.
said. And whatever you do, you feel this sweet connection. I mean, sweet attachment on you that, you know, whether you are having a meeting or whether you know you're doing something else, you just cannot get rid of it. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's bittersweet, right? Sometimes you feel, oh, the responsibility is very heavy on me, but in another way, you know, that's us.
I think the challenge is like, how do you, because the society think a lot about once you are a mom, you take the 100% responsibility of your kid. I mean, there's a dad, no, obviously. And I think the expectation women on themselves is like, you are in charge. I mean, it's a human being. It's he will, or he or she will grow up himself as well. So it's I think there's a lot of expectation, only expectation on ourselves. So that's
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think one key difference after I became a mom is definitely the less of personal time. I'm not sure if you experience the same, because you know, for us, we do not have a helper, so it's just me and my husband.
Wow.
And you know, like previously, both me and my husband love traveling, right? I mean,
Yes.
the whole COVID thing, and you know, sometimes it's really like, oh, you know, we want to go somewhere near to a sea, then we just buy
Yeah.
a flight ticket and we
Yes.
fly off the second day. But now you need to plan everything. We cannot live in Airbnb anymore. You need to live in
Yeah.
place and all that. There's a huge reduction in terms of flexibility. So what I said is it's a sweet bitterness. So I mean, I'm definitely curious, right? Like so you mentioned that I know you traveled from China to Europe, then Europe to Singapore, and then now you started your own you know, female well-being sexual hub called ZaZaZu. You know, what brings you to become who you are today?
I think it's a long personal journey. I think each of us has a very unique story to share. I think what's really intrigued me is like empower me to do what I do today is that I grew up in China. I'm from Beijing originally. I left China when I was 16. The challenge I had as a Chinese girl is that how I look today, I might look different, but when I was a kid, I have very dark skin. I still have very dark skin compared to usual Chinese, mainland Chinese. I have dark skin. When I was a kid, I have very small eyes. And when I look at some of the pictures, I think look fine. But at that stage in the 80s in Beijing, people just think, oh, it's dark skin, your parents must be farmers. Today, I don't even see, I don't even know why it's an insult in a way, but at that time, I was bullied a lot. So I was not able to build confidence as a girl, and that's affected my whole life. Being a woman, I can look as great as I do, or I can look as terrible as I do. The confidence level is always shaking. I think this is because deep inside, we as women, me specifically, have never been able to gain confidence from within. And that's why I also decided to move to Germany. At that time, I was like, I want to move to a country where individualism is celebrated. It's not like mass market, everyone need to be similar, to be same, girl need to be pretty and nice and sit there and just say yes. I had a lot of opinions. I had a lot of how can I say, I'm very, very extroverted, and the society in China at that time just didn't consider you as, as a good material, I would say. So only when I moved to Germany and I was able to speak out loud a lot of my opinions, ask questions, I think, which actually is the human basic curiosity in a way, and that was encouraged. So my first sexual encounterment at that time, I think 17, I was in boarding school. I was telling just the teacher at that time, because my parents wasn't around. I just learned German. I was a little bit lonely at that time. I was telling the teacher, she was asking, oh, how are you doing? And I was like, I think I'm falling in love with this boy. Something that in China you could never say, firstly. Secondly, and then the reaction of the teacher, I will never forget that. And she said, that was me, she said, great. It's great that you fall in love. You should be able to fall in love. But the most important thing is, do you understand anything on contraceptive? And I was like, okay, at that time, I was very embarrassed because I didn't understand the concept of sex because we had zero education in that space. I only remember when I was in high school, when I was middle school, still in China, when I was 14, there was a couple, there was, I mean, a really good looking boy and a really good looking girl in my school. And they were suddenly gone because the teacher was saying, because they ate the forbidden fruit. I didn't understand at all what that means.
Yeah.
So obviously they had sex and for forbidden fruit. And this is how it was packaged. And then, but in Germany, the teacher was like, okay, contraceptive. Let me tell you, the first thing you go to a gynecology. I'm happy to go with you together to have yourself checked. You need to imagine someone in the beginning of 2000 went to Germany, and then someone is talking to you about gynecologists. I mean, people who have problem go to gynecologists, and then to check you up, and then the concept of condom, concept of protect yourself sexually, intimately, everything. It was just but she was telling me in a very everyday in a very common manner. It was nothing, oh, God forbid you cannot do it. She says that, be careful. There's consent. There is, you make a decision, and it's your choice. And if you want to do it, you need to make sure that you are safe. That's it. And I think because the attitude was such an open, but that's not a big deal. It's part of human nature. I think that impacted me a lot, and that encouraged me to, I think, to make a right decision. So I eventually, I was intimated with a boy, and then everything was in my backhead. So I made a very informed decision. And I think that's somehow I think that event, the fact that I owned my body, I was in control, although it was the first time and so on. I think that empowered me a lot. That built my first, I wouldn't say sexual confidence, but just confidence as a woman, as a woman, as a young woman in that case. And I felt first time I made a decision that I was in control. And this has always been somehow in back of my head. Yeah.
That's right, because I mean, I was from China originally, as you know. But I think it's not only in China, it's very common in our Asian culture that sex is something like, like your teacher described it as the forbidden fruit, and it's just not something that people can openly talk about in our culture, in relation to your teacher in Germany, right? So but that's actually something very important. I mean, although both of us have boys, but if I ever have a girl, I think that's something to educate her, like, just openly. There's nothing to be ashamed of. So like what so you can make informed decision before you engage with anybody, and that's actually the way for girls to protect themselves and to make a right. So okay, let's talk about art, right? Because I know that now you are happily married. You made a cute boy. So yeah, like so there's the day when we met, I actually heard that you are going to this very special activity called Art Flow with your partner. Yes. Can you share with us more about it?
Yes, no, happy to. I think compared to, I was reading your, the interview with other moms, and look at your IG, was it's really inspired. People are, I think it's, with me, I think I might be your only guest that has no talent whatsoever in terms of drawing, in terms of art. I think we are all in our own way artists, but I am never good in writing, in drawing, which made one very curious. It's like if you are really bad in something, you are really amazed how people can draw, how people can design. And so I was always amazed with art, how I never understood it. So you have your own way of interpretation, what you perceive as pretty, as right. So I always felt like doing something with your hands. So I'm actually a mechanical engineer from background. So I always like to do things, build things with my hands. My husband is the same, and he is more talented. He is, I think, just because they grow up in Germany, he's German, they always learn how to do things with their hands, while we Chinese were like doing homework all the time and were not encouraged to play outside. So, but in terms of art, we both share the passion of doing something with our hands. And I think especially once I entered this industry, I feel in order to activate our senses, we are a lot with phones. We are having this IG live on the phone. We are on the laptop. We don't do things with hands anymore. So we said, okay, you know what? How do we connect? I mean, we are married for 4 years now. I mean, the passion fades. So how, especially during COVID time, how do you reconnect with each other? So we said we both share the passion of, doing things with our hands. Why don't we do something colorful with something with color? So then we started to have the first time we were at this art space. And then it was like motion, because things are moving. It's a motion in art. It's like art flow. So you don't have to understand art. You don't have to be creative yourself. Basically, the way you just mix colors, and then the table is like turning, rotating. And there are different kind of swings where you can put color inside. It's a pattern. So it depends a bit. At the beginning, it's just, you can't do it wrong. It's always a pattern, depends on how the plate is rotating. You put the canvas basically on the table, and it will rotate. You are putting the color inside. It's a very calming and erotic. I personally see that as a very something to do with your hands. You see the color fading, and it's turning and it's rotating. It's a little bit sometimes like snail kind of form, and then you swing this boxes with color again. You see things in motion, and I feel sometimes a little bit like a hypnotherapist. So you are really going through this whole motion, doing things with your hand, touching each other, touching the art, kind of like pottery, but with success, this way. So
Wow.
that was, I think, our first experience was calming, and we saw somehow erotic inside, and something we do together, because we create different arts, and it always look pretty because the things is rotating. You can try different colors, you can have different patterns, always turns out to be different. For people who are not that creative, as in, I can't put a paper on and just draw. I don't have enough imagination to do that. In this way, the motion plate is actually doing that for you. So for that experience, it has become a ritual a bit. We try to do it like twice a week. It's a lot, but definitely once a week. This is somehow for us art. It has become art, and we have done different canvas, and you become better when you also see the progress. I think especially when you are a newbie into something, you see progress very fast. And then you understand how the swing, how the speed. So it's kind of like a combination of art and mechanics. So that fits us really well. And we bond a lot, because in this time, you don't touch your phone, we don't even do a selfie or anything. You are not distracted, because you have only a very short moment where you can catch the color. So you have to be very focused. And we found huge satisfaction actually in that activity. That we found, and then
amazing.
We are kind of artists on our own. So that's really, yeah.
I mean, for the audience here, I have seen some of the artworks that Jingjin has done. I wouldn't say that's something, I mean, to me, it doesn't look unprofessional at all. It's really pretty, right? And I think most importantly, like what you said, is the precious moments that you and your partners can be focused, just on doing that piece of creation.
Absolutely.
And it's a combination of art and science, art and engineering, and that's something make you feel hands-on, so it fulfills your passion as well. And that becomes a really great tool for you to bond with each other. So I'm just curious, like, do you bring the artworks back home, or you keep it in? That's good.
It's funny because you have to dry, so you actually have to pick it up. We almost always pick it up, and the funny part is with art, when you draw, the color look different. When it's still wet, it look very fresh, and very often we come back and say, oh, it's a little bit disappointing. Why look like this? And then what can we improve the next time? Can we spray something? It's every time it's like two experience. You do this thing together and you pick it up together. You feel like, we have done this together. And I think that's very for couples, at least for us, that it become a ritual. Like you do this together and you create something and you see something. I think that's more, because at the end of the day, I mean, especially during COVID time, you are looking for experiences. especially I think for couples, really important to bond because
Yeah.
we all stuck together and that not in a good way. And
Yeah.
you are going on each other's nerve, this whole working from home situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should definitely, I think art is very calming. We found our, I think, passion, peace, and calmness in the art. But I'm curious, actually, Alison, how did you come into, you must be so passionate about this topic, mom and art, that you started
Yeah.
this group and tell me a
Sure.
little bit about that.
Sure. I mean, for people who follow my community, they will generally know me and my personal story. So, and I don't mind, telling it again. So, I mean, I became a mother like 4 years ago, right? So my kid is around the same age. He's
Mm,
approaching 4
mm,
soon. So, so when I firstly became a mom, I was quite like unprepared, and I mean, I was lucky because I didn't really experience any symptoms like morning sickness in
mm,
my first 2 trimesters. But things really changed after I stepped into the third trimester. So my body started to change quite a lot, and I
mm,
got very, very swelling. And sometimes, like I realize when I wake up in the morning, I see like, oh, such a different woman in the
mm,
mirror. And my feet size, I used to wear 37 and then it
mm.
grows to 42. So all these changes, literally, I need to wear my husband's shoes sometimes and his
Mm,
pants. And I just cannot take all the changes, right? It
yeah.
happens all sudden to me.
Mm,
And then, so I guess later I know this is, a part is very common for a pregnant woman. And even after you give birth, you probably experience a period of like depression,
yeah.
some people call it PPD.
Postpartum. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I didn't know anything of that. So there was a period I was anxious, I was feeling a bit lost, but so my husband was the one that reminded me, why. He knows I like drawing. I like drawing cartoon art. I used to be a freelancer cartoonist for some of
Mm,
the local newspapers. So he said,
mm,
why not you just draw something to kind of spare your attention so you can pay your attention to something else and you maybe don't feel so anxious about all the changes anymore. So I took his advice and I started drawing a picture book. And the picture book, actually, the idea originated from a dream I had. I dreamed about my baby and dreamed about a vegetables kingdom. So I started drawing the book, and everything changed, right? And
mm,
I feel I can. I now, when I think about it, I think what you mentioned as the focus moment is really important because when I'm drawing the book, I feel focused, and that makes
mm.
me happy that doesn't give me any distractions. So yeah, that's when I think there are probably more mothers out there who may be having the same experience as me, and why not I start this community to share my experience with them, to share that art is actually something that can help you live a happier new parent life. And
Yeah.
when I started, I realized there are actually many mothers who echo with this idea.
Mm,
Some are really like you. They don't call themselves as artists, although our motto is every mother should be a nature artist.
yes.
But I mean, they just like doing handcraft, or some of them are doing doodling, and all these activities actually help them to work out of their, the depression mind state.
Yeah.
So I sort of using this community to benefit more mothers, to help them live a happier parenting life. So that's the whole story
Beautiful.
behind our community. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So
Mm,
thank you, thank you. So I'm happy that I'm through the community. I would say if there's any personal gain is to be able to meet inspirational mothers like yourself.
mm,
As you said at the beginning of this live session, you said every mother is a superwoman, right? And I
yes.
I definitely echo with that. Um, Regardless what you're doing, as long as you're fully dedicated, you
Yeah.
are very powerful.
Absolutely. And I think women
Yeah,
need to tell this more to themselves as well, to
yeah.
ourselves. I mean, we are
So
very kind to others and very bitter to ourselves and very harsh on ourselves. And that I think we need to be reminded the fact that you just remember, just sometimes I wondered the body I had before versus the body I have today. I mean, there is like, in the meanwhile, I made 100% peace with it. There are like 3 kilos. I just didn't get loose of it. And that's life.
It's
Move
okay.
on. It's really okay. And
Yeah.
I see a lot of moms, they spend a lot of time on working out. Good for them. They have this discipline. I just don't. So, but really make peace with it.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, before this session, I actually made a list of all the questions I want to ask you, right? And you know, I'm really curious. Like, so at the beginning, you shared that, you know, sexual wellness, you know, make how your trip to Germany actually make you feel more confident, and now you are using art as activity to bond with your partners and all that. So if you can give like 3 advices for mothers or even like women in general, right?
Yeah.
How could they maintain their overall wellness, whereby of course sexual well-being is an important pillar? Like what would they be? What would be your 3 top advices for them?
I would say everything. I was thinking really hard of 3 things. So it's not about plan. That if you can execute one, your life will change already dramatically. So I'm gonna share 2. I think scheduling things. I just think sounds very easy. Okay, of course we all know you should bond with your partner, regardless of whether you're mom or not mom. Mom's obviously more busy, but even you're a couple without a kid, it's just you life moves on. That then we have so many distractions in life, and then it's very difficult to focus. It's so easy to say focus. The fact I had this IG live with another person, her phone was on notification all the time. So every time we spoke, I heard the vibration.
The ding ding
So
ding.
the ding ding ding, the vibration, and then she turned off the sound, but the vibration was there. So I'm just saying, so in her view, all this notification was coming. I mean, you can't be focused. You are actually doing something bad for yourself. So how to be focused is easier. There are ways just to be more focused, more present in life. When I'm talking to you, I'm 100% present. There's nothing else. And then I think it's also this dedication, you should give it to yourself and to your partner. So scheduling things, as in when you plan an activity, for example, I mean, let's not overwhelm, let's not doing everything focused, we can't, but just one thing in a week. For example, what we do is this art, for example. When we do art together, it could be a walk in botanic garden. There's this one activity, you don't talk about kid, you don't talk about work, you don't talk about anything. You just do something, it's just about 2 of you. There's a to-do list, there is a list of not to do, not to talk. What are the things you have to focus just on 2 of you? And at the beginning, we have shared this experience a lot with with our clients, and they're saying, we can't talk about work, we can't talk about kids. What can we talk about? Then I was like, when you started to date, you had no kids, and you are at the beginning stage of your work. What did you talk about at that time? You have to bring back, actually, there are many things. So what happens then after a while, after 1, 2, 3 dates, you'll feel, we talk about each other. Remember at that time, we talk about our dreams, what we really want to become, the version 10 years ago and the version in the future, who we want to become in the future, who you were. These are things that actually bond each other because you're sharing something from within. There is no outside stimulants like COVID or anything else, work, colleagues, friends. It's just about you. This activity can be done with art. This is what we do. So people who don't like to talk a lot, then just do art because then you can just focus on that. People who are more talkative, who are more into the emotion side of things, for example, having dinner, having just one scheduled dinner in this 2 or 3 hours is only about us. Then you share things. I think to do things as a couple very consciously, that's very important. But schedule it in, not every week you schedule this one session, just this one, and eventually you can increase and then see, and then revisit after first month. How did we do? Did we improve anything? Do we feel more connected? I think this kind of things you need to, it's like work the review. It's like you have to review how you work with.
Yeah, I love the advice. I should start probably start trying. And I love what you said, right? Just give me more thinking. Like, it's actually like now you not just to say between me and my husband, but even when we are, you know, having family dates with the other friends who have kids, we always talk about kid
Yeah.
or work, right?
Yeah.
But we seldomly talk about ourselves, our interests, even what
Yeah.
kind of dramas we are watching. So I think what your reminder is really, really great, and it helped me think that, you know, we should probably have that regular session to really just think about ourselves.
I think art is something to start something new. For us, was new. It was really unknown because of COVID as well. See, if COVID wouldn't happen, I mean, there are many ways you could explore as couples. But as you rightfully said at the very beginning, once your kid is there, you can't do Airbnb anymore. Even if you can travel, there are many things that you just can't do anymore. So how to reconnect or how to connect, you know, how to be intimate, how to become a couple again, you know, starting from holding hands. I mean, you are holding the hands of the kid now. You know, when you walk out through the street, you don't hold hand to each other anymore. All these kind of small things. And then one day you wake up, okay, the marriage is not the marriage we had 10 years ago. But in order to avoid that, it's not like, okay, let's go to a honeymoon trip again. That won't help. It's the every little things every day that will actually contribute to the bigger masterpiece, like the book you're mentioning. The script won't come out one day. It will, you build every day consistent little bit content, and eventually become a masterpiece at the end. It's the same with life.
Wow, I love your saying a lot, and I should invite you again in the future to share
Love
like
to.
what to bond. And I love, you know, the art, the combination of art and engineering activities you're doing, and you know, now you're embarking on your entrepreneurship journey, and I wish you the good luck, the best
Thank
of luck,
you.
you know,
Very
with,
needed, very needed.
and I'm sure, right, that's because I really think that's something important, you know, for women, for mothers to look at our overall wellness, whereby you're bonding because, you know, 24 hours a day, especially with COVID situation, the person that you see the most of the day is actually your partner, because you're
Yes.
both in the same home.
Yes.
So it's important for you to formulate that bonding.
Yeah.
I look forward to more exciting things coming from ZaZaZu.